for joining us for Meet the Professionals. This is a video series where we interview a variety of professionals from different career paths to find out more about their backgrounds, how they got into their field, and to get advice if you're interested in following that path. Today, we are speaking with Lee Erin, a merchandise manager with Disney Theatrical Group. She's been with Disney for 7 years, working with Lion King, Aladdin, and Frozen on Broadway, as well as their traveling productions. Hi, Lee.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. So why don't we get started? Would you mind telling us, what do you do every day? Tell us about your job.
Absolutely. So I work now it's Lion King and Aladdin, which are on Broadway. So we have 8 shows a week. And so I come in about 2 hours or so before showtime, and I'm working with the merchandise team. So I'm getting everything set up for our selling periods, which we have 3 selling periods. We have before the show starts, we have intermission, and then we have after the show. So I'm doing anything from, getting stock ready to getting the cash ready to doing reporting, and then welcoming in my team to just get them ready for the show and for the guests. So every day is different, and I might not be doing the same thing every day. I might be doing like a bank run or something like that, or just having meetings about future products. But yeah, that's the basics.
I know you just said every day is different, but what does a general, if you can summarize what a typical work day is like?
Sure. So I'll usually come in, like I said, about 2 hours beforehand. I'll see if there's anything that needs to be done from the previous show. So like sometimes we need to close up because it's gotten too late or something. So I'll be doing any kind of cash. I'll set up our banks for the day. So we have a set number of money for every till. So I'll get that ready. Then I'll see if any display changes need to be done throughout the theater. Maybe we've changed prices. Maybe we've gotten a new shirt or something. And so we're going to add that to a different location. So I'll go around, do that. And then closer to when my team comes in, I'll see who's coming, and I'll see, we call it a lineup. So I'll make the lineup to see who's going to be working where. And then kind of get an idea of what I need them to do during the show. If we need to set up programs or something, or open certain boxes, fold things. So we do that, and then they come in, I give them a meeting, tell them what's new, what's changed, just get them ready for the day, get them excited. And then we have our first selling period. So that's an hour before showtime. That's when the guests start coming. And I'll either be working right on a register, or I'm running around the building trying to help anyone else who's working on a register. Just depends how many people we have that day. And then once that's over, we'll restock, and then I'll go back into the office and I'll do any kind of reporting on what we just sold, or what was working, what was not. If I have to have any conversations with people, any coaching or anything like that, we'll do that then. Usually any meetings with my bosses, we might have that happen then. And then we have intermission, and then we kind of do it all over again. And then at the end of the night, it's making sure that everyone's good, cash is ready, things are put away, things are locked up, and then I'll do more reporting. So I know some of your questions might be about math and computers and stuff. So that's definitely where that comes into play. So yeah, that's basically a day. And I can work anywhere from 6 hours to 11 hours. It depends on the schedule of the shows. Sometimes we have 2 shows a day, so I'll work both of those. Sometimes we have inventory, so I'll come in early for that. Sometimes we have delivery, so we'll be there all day. So it's a range of things for sure.
But that all sounds very exciting. It sounds very busy, you're always around people.
Yeah. It definitely, it's a good environment to work with other people, and it's a good environment. It keeps you active, both physically and mentally, and also socially, because you're always interacting with people and meeting new people. So it's definitely got all of the worlds put together.
So if you had to pick, what would you say is your favorite part of your job? And on the flip side, what would you say is your least favorite part of the job?
My favorite part is definitely meeting the guests. So when the doors open and everyone's coming in, it's a very Disney thing to like, when you're interacting with people, hearing their stories, why do they love Lion King or Aladdin, like what has drawn them here, and even what's drawn them like to New York. Everyone has a different story. So that's always very fun. We have the benefit of making magic. So like sometimes if you have a special interaction with someone, like you might be able to like gift them something, or you just kind of, feel special if you like bond with them. So that's probably my favorite part. If I'm being honest, probably my least favorite part is inventory. Because that is a long day. We have, especially at the Lion King, we have a lot of products. So we have a lot of SKUs. And the theater is huge, and we don't have like one stock room. We have like 5. So we're going like throughout and counting boxes and counting loose items and just making sure everything matches. And it just can be a lot. But it keeps your brain going.
Oh, how do you split your time between the two shows? Is it a set schedule or is it variable?
It is very variable. It's different every week. Technically, I am under the Aladdin umbrella, but because Lion King is so busy, and I think like Lion King is where I started, I go over there and I help a lot. And it's really like based on the needs of the business. So that's why it like changes week to week. But I'll usually have like 2 or 3 days at Aladdin. So like 2 or 3 shows. And then I do most of I'll end the show at Lion King. So do the end of week reporting. That's on Sundays. And then I'll do a lot of their inventory and their delivery just because it's like a bigger operation. So that's how they kind of divvy it up.
That makes sense. So good time management skills definitely needed to go between the two.
Definitely, yes. And kind of understanding your schedule, being willing to like hop in where you need. I've worked both shows on the same day before. I've worked part of one show and then hopped over. So you kind of have to just have your brain moving. And have the energy too, just be like, okay, we're gonna hop on down to 42nd Street now. So
How far are the theaters? Like how far apart are they?
Aladdin is on 42nd, Lion King is on 45th. So logistically, it's only 3 blocks, but add in all the people in Times Square, and it's like a good 15-minute walk. Which it's interesting that just the space becomes so much bigger. But yeah, so they're kind of separate, but we will have to move things between shows sometimes. So sometimes I will be like pulling a hand cart through Times Square with boxes or whatever we have. So it's always fun.
It's definitely an adventure.
Yes.
So my next question is, what led you to this job? How did you end up with Disney?
So it all started with the Disney College program, which I highly recommend for any college student, if you know what you want to do or you don't, because you get to go work for Disney either in Florida or California, and they'll put you in a specific department. I actually was put into merchandise, so that kind of like started my track and like started how I was growing those skills. And then I moved to New York to go to grad school, and having a Disney background and getting a job, it was kind of an easy leap to just be like, okay, well, I can just keep working for Disney. And I've been lucky enough to continue to grow that career, and now I'm in management. And especially working for theatrical, like we have a pretty big hub here. So like where Aladdin is actually our offices. So like above the theater is all of our offices. So there's plenty of space and like room to grow in terms of the different departments that are there, because there's merchandise, there's marketing, there's ticketing. So it's kind of like once you get your foot in the door, like opportunities will open up for you. So that's one thing I do love about this company.
That is awesome. That's really good to hear.
Thank you.
So I guess my next question is, can you live and work anywhere that you would like to do this job? But I'm guessing since you're theatrical, it's based in New York only?
So that's kind of like a tough question. I feel like the basic answer is like, yes, you need to live in New York, but a lot of people are remote these days. And then we do have like our touring productions. So we have Frozen, we have Lion King, we have Aladdin that are in the States. And they go around the country. But we also have productions in the UK, Germany, Japan. Like they're just starting an Aladdin production in Ireland. So I don't really know the logistics of like how you would jump over, but the opportunities are there. We do have a special department that works here that works on the international teams. So I think that maybe you're based here, but you have the travel opportunity. So I wouldn't say like it's out of the realm of possibility, you just kind of start here.
That makes sense. And an Ireland production sounds really cool.
No, I was kind of tempted to be like, could I?
And I know you've worked on the touring production before. How does working with a touring production differ from what you do here in New York?
So the touring production is very unique because you are like, especially as a manager, like you're really in charge of a lot more. And like you basically, so you travel with a huge truck and that is like your stock room. And so after every selling period, like you are going out into the truck, you are unloading things. Like I never dreamed that I would go onto like an 18-wheeler. And when you're traveling, like you literally have to climb in and climb out. And it was kind of crazy. One of the cities I went to was Chicago, and they're very big on like unions. So that was also different. So like instead of like me being in charge of a team, they already had a team. So I could not sell and I could not touch like their money. Like that was a very separate thing. So like I provided them the product, but then they took care of everything else. So it was definitely a different dynamic. But tour is so cool because like you just get to experience all different places. It's a short amount of time, but it's enough that like you get to know the cities, you get to know like what the people, because like every market is different. Like Texas will like one thing, but like New York will like a different thing. So it's just kind of fun. And definitely like I think if anyone has the time or the opportunity to go on tour, even if it's for like 6 months, like you should do it. Like it's worth it.
Aw, do you remember how many different cities you went to when you were touring?
I think I've been to 3 because I did like longer stints. Um, and I did one with Aladdin and I did one with Frozen. Um, and the Frozen was split. Um, but like I would go back if they asked me tomorrow. So
Aw, that sounds like so much fun.
very cool. It's very different.
Aw. So I guess that sort of ties into my next question. Does your job assignment change often?
Um, I feel like the core of it does not, but just the way that things change every day, it kind of does. Like, so at Lion King, for instance, we have so many, oh, here she is. We have so many different products, and they have no problem like trying something. And if it doesn't work, they're gonna pull it or they're gonna switch it. So we might get something on like a Friday, and so we put it out for the weekend and it totally like tanks. And so maybe we're just switching the price, or maybe we're like fully rewriting like a display. So I would say like that is what changes most. Um, and it's hard because you have to come in and you have a confidence and you're like, okay, we're selling this. Like I'm telling my cast members this is what our focus is. And then like we have 1 or 2 shows and it doesn't do well. And I have to like flip it and be like, okay, so like we're gonna shift gears. And like I can't be like, you know, it didn't work or like we hated it. So it's just having that like mentality and being able to maintain the positivity and maintain the like energy, I guess. So I think it's just more on the day-to-day that my role changes. And just what's going on, like if we get a new person starts, but then I'm training them. And that kind of shifts how my day might look, She's gonna
Okay. So my next question, let's see. Has technology changed your job over the years? Has it made it easier, harder?
Sorry. I think it's made it easier. We have what have we done? So now we use iPads. We used to not have tax, so everything was like a very simple, this is the price. So we could literally just have like an apron and have the cash or whatever. Now we have tax, so it's a little more complicated. So we have to have a system that is compatible with everywhere that there's a show. So that includes like the Japan shows, the UK shows. So, and Disney is big on, they don't want anything that is on the cloud. So like a lot of systems, like their backups are on the cloud. And Disney just doesn't want that for, I think, protection purposes. So we've had to find different systems that do that, but still have kind of like a back office end. So like that we can do our reporting. So we can like see how much we're selling, like see what we need to order, that kind of thing. And I think that as time goes on, like more systems get created, and that's very helpful for us. I don't think we found the perfect system yet, but like right now we actually have 2 different credit card machines. And sometimes like one won't connect to Bluetooth, and so we have to switch to the other one. So we are always troubleshooting. So we are always like managing technology. And even when I worked at the parks and at the Disney store, like that was part of my job too. And it was kind of like, it's just kind of been a joke that I like have this IT like background now because just the way that things work. So yeah, technology has definitely helped us. It's definitely challenged us. But I think we would be a lot worse off without it.
I can totally relate. Yeah, we all need technology just to get things done. And my next question. So are certain times of year busier for you? Like what is your busy season?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 busy seasons, right around Christmas. So holiday times is definitely a big season. And then like peak summer. So like July into August, those are our busiest. We have some weeks where like Broadway will do specials where it's like a buy one, get one thing. So we'll usually get a lot of people. But it's kind of like it depends on the crowd if we actually like if merchandise or like even concessions make any money. But like the show is making the money. So sometimes it's different between the amount of people who are there and then the amount of people who are spending money. And for us, like a big thing is our conversion rate. So we pay attention to how many people have been scanned into the theater and then how much money we've made. And then we do a percentage of like how many of those people did we get to make a sale kind of thing. So that is something that we pay attention to, and especially around those 2 times of year.
And this is just my curiosity. It's not one of my official questions, but do each of those, so the show, the merchandise, concessions, are you all separate from each other in terms of turning a profit and all of that? Or do you just all roll up into Aladdin, The Lion King?
So technically we are all separate. And it's weird because I think ultimately like what Disney is looking at is the ticket sales. So like when Frozen was open, their ticket sales were not really that great. But merchandise was doing amazing. Like we were making so much money. And so like in the offices, they'd be like, well, like the show's not doing great, but like merch, like we're still making the money. So like they do still see it, but like as a show on Broadway, like I if you kind of like think about it that way, it's not really surprising that they didn't come back after 2020, which is very sad. Um, but
R.I.P. Frozen.
no, it's kind of interesting though. Like, and Aladdin does sell. Like, our house sells out all the time. So that's why we're still here. Like, Aladdin's gonna hit 10 years in March, which is just crazy.
My next question. So we talked about your busy time. We talked about the schedule of shows a little bit. So because of the seasons that are busy and the way the shows, like the timing of the shows, are there any limitations on your personal or social life because of this job?
Yes. Mostly it's because of the time of the show, right? The show started 7 or 8 o'clock. So if I'm getting there early, I'm getting there at like 3 or 4 o'clock. So anyone who has a normal schedule, a 9 to 5, like they're out by the time I'm going in. So I just kind of have to shift my day to day. So like if I have doctor's appointments, they have to be like early. But I don't have to like lose time at work to go to the doctor, like I can just go. But in terms of like social things like that, like again, it's the time management. Like you really have to know your calendar and kind of like work with your friends or work with whatever event you want to do. And even like for us Broadway people, like we'll be like, okay, I'm gonna take off like a Thursday night and then I'll go see a show. You just kind of have to work with your own schedule, which some people find hard and stressful, but I think a lot of people just really like the job that we do and like our atmosphere. So we manage. But yeah, it can be a challenge.
But yeah, I totally got it. But like once you're in it and you're used to the schedule, it's just your job. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
for people starting out, it's something to know.
Yeah. We always have Mondays off. Like there's no shows on Mondays. So that's something, that's guaranteed for me. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and my next question. So, are there any special certificates or licenses needed for this? Is there like a specific Disney training program that you might have to go through?
So we just have like compliance that we do. Like once you get the job, there's nothing you need to get the job. I would say it's good to have past like cash handling experience. For my role specifically, if you know Excel and like computers in that way, like that's great. But yeah, there's nothing like there's no degree or like certificate or anything you need specifically, which is kind of nice.
That is good to know. Okay, so switching gears a little bit in the topics, returning to like the advice section. So what types of interests, abilities, or skills should someone have for a job like this?
I think it's really good to be kind of a go-getter, kind of proactive, someone who really likes people, and like helping people. When I was thinking about this, I was like, if you're someone who does volunteer work or like likes to see other people happy, that kind of thing, like that is kind of the core of what we do is, and this goes for like any Broadway show. Like you want the guests who come or the patrons who come to have a memorable experience. And so if you have the mentality that like you're going to help create that, um, it's going to make it a better experience for them and for you. Like it'll make your day easier and like brighter, I think. So like I think those are like personal, like social skills to have. And then just from like a more logistical standpoint, having like the cash handling and just kind of it's like an awareness and like a speed in a sense, because like our selling periods are short and quick and like you have to be like on it. So like if you can be like a quick thinker and like a problem solver, I think that is also helpful.
That is really good to know. And then similar to that, but like what high school or college subjects would you say are most important? Like, I'm assuming math, would a foreign language help, technology?
Yeah, we get a lot of foreign speakers. So I say that I know like retail Spanish. Um I can get by with my Spanish speakers. Some of my friends and like coworkers have really developed, like they take cues from people, so like then they can kind of like go, so it may not even be like the language necessarily, but they can kind of understand, it's like a cultural thing, like how people are perceiving you and what they're asking for. But yeah, definitely having foreign language. We've had a lot of French speakers this past year, which I'm always curious, like, is this your vacation time? Like, is this your summer holiday? Like, why are you here? Are you from like Canada? Or are you from actual France? Like, I love to know that. So yes, that's definitely helpful. Math, definitely helpful. I actually took a course in college on Excel, so I know that they exist. So if you can do something like that, definitely. I also think like anything in like hospitality or, like a tourism management, like I think that is helpful. And just being, and maybe even some kind of like social, not really sure what the class would be, but just like interacting with people, I think is helpful.
Some sort of retail experience in the past, maybe just getting to be around people.
Yeah, I think retail, I think any kind of like community, like volunteer work, even um, like if it's like a food bank or like something like that where you're interacting with other people and like their needs, I think that's good. I love like seeing how people interact and like what they're there for, It's very fascinating.
It feels like it would also be good for someone who likes to people watch, I
Mhm.
feel like. But also like you still have to work and like do your job, but you can people
Yeah.
watch at the same time.
Yeah. And like I've learned to have like a resting, like smiling face as I'm like checking out people's outfits. Like, what shoes did she wear with that dress? Like, or like, what is this family dynamic? Like, it's very interesting. And like the Minskoff, where the Lion King is so cool because we have those huge windows. So like people will just like gather there. You can see all of what's happening in Times Square. Like, it's a great place. We're very lucky.
My general last question will be, what sort of advice do you have for anyone who would want to go this route?
I think um just to kind of be excited and do anything that they can think of that might be related. Like if you are a theater person, like take the theater class. And then if you want to like get into like the Broadway retail, like work at Trader Joe's or like work at Target or something, like have something simple. Or even I feel like once you are in the bubble of Broadway, so like one volunteer opportunity would be the Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS collection. So like those are the people who come after the show and they have the collection. So like once you're in the building, basically, or like even if you're an usher, like you can move around different departments, you meet people, you meet actors. It's really a place that can like open a lot of doors, I think. And like you don't need a ton of experience, like it's good to have some things, but really like just show that you're excited and take the chance. And if anyone wants to, we're hiring now, so if anyone wants to join, send me an email.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Lee, for taking the time to speak with us. And if anyone has any questions or is interested in applying, you can always email the Levittown Public Library Teens account, teens@levittownpl.org, and we will pass everything over to Lee. So thank you again.